Okay. We just watched Thunderbolts. Literally, I mean, we got out of the theater like an hour and a half ago. Drove home.
Yeah. Yeah, about an
Did,
hour or so ago.
did a couple things just because, we had to mull it over. We did talk in the parking lot for like half hour. Like we always do.
Yes.
Um,
It was important.
Very important because this movie was freaking good. Dude, this movie was a blast.
I love it.
Like, genuinely one of the best movies that Marvel has created, in my opinion.
Definitely, definitely like a top 10, top 5 contender for me.
Yeah, it's really good. And I think the reason that I think that is because this movie was literally everything that I wanted to happen in this movie happened in this movie, basically. Like, there's only like one thing I can think of that didn't happen that I wish happened, but it was like an end credit kind of thing, so it's kind of willy-nilly, didn't really even matter.
That's great then. Yeah.
So for me, this movie just hit all the marks. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I felt like it delivered great on this ragtag team of people that want to be heroes but did too many bad things, so they
Yeah.
deem themselves unworthy of that mantle, and they did a great job at bringing this group together that they all had this great chemistry together, and I care deeply for all of them except one. And
Don't have to care about that one anymore.
yes, freaking win in my book, but no offense to the actress, but no, yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing these characters again. Like before it, when it came to like thinking about Yelena or Ghost or Red Guardian, I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever, I don't care about them. Now I'm like, I want to see him again, dude.
Yeah, I
Like
know,
I
right?
want,
It's
I
so
want to.
cool.
Bob, awesome.
Yeah,
So
I
he's
love.
always a good character, but
Yeah, it's true. But I will 100% agree with you. I think it's so good that they took this cast of
yeah,
characters and they made them like not only just like lovable, but like lovable to the point where like we're excited for the future. The future is going to be good because of these characters. And that is
yeah,
always a great place to leave people off in this story. So, thought that was really good.
yeah.
Yeah. I guess just for a second, I'm going to say spoiler warning because there are a couple things we do want to talk about really quick. So if you haven't seen this movie and you don't want to get spoiled, go watch the movie and come back to this video, or
There will be spoilers
because
right
there are
now.
spoilers right now.
Thanos dies.
Yeah, there you go. That was the end. That's the end
Yeah, I
credits.
had to.
No, but yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. If you don't care about spoilers, you're welcome. Here you go. First things first, the thing that we both wanted and needed to happen in this movie happened. 100% happens in what, like the first like 20 minutes of the movie? What'd you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Taskmaster is dead.
Insta killed. Like Taskmaster tried to fight, got pummeled around by U.S. Agent and Ghost, and then just one shot, bro. Like it was insane.
Right in the face. Just boom. It was
Proof that that was not even a good Taskmaster. Like, come on.
exactly.
Taskmaster in the comics, you couldn't kill him
Yeah.
like that. But
100%.
it's just
We just like that was the one thing that we both were like, this needs to happen in this movie.
we knew it would happen.
We knew it would.
Let's be real.
We
I
did
think
know.
Disney needed to cut out this character, maybe for room for a new version of Taskmaster. But
Hopefully, I would hope that that's what they end up doing. Is just a new good version of Taskmaster. That would be
Would be
very
nice.
ideal. But yeah, that's the first thing. Is that Taskmaster is dead. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with that character anymore.
Exactly.
Um, the second thing I wanted to bring up is, at least I feel this way. I don't know if you feel 100% on board with me when I say this, but I think Sentry and the Void was extremely well put together in this movie. I think they did that character justice. I think the way that they brought him in, the way that they treated his powers, both Sentry and the Void, was just beautifully done. And I love the respect that they gave to the comic book character in all fashions. So
yeah, they did him justice, and I liked that the Sentry was a hero, and he was like, why would I kill them? They
yeah,
didn't do anything wrong. I don't kill, right? I don't kill.
yeah,
Like, if they did something wrong, I would. And um that was like kind of a key for what Bob the Sentry is as a hero. And then of course they did the Void insanely well, where he's like, I'm a god, why would I listen to you? What are you gonna do?
yeah.
And then just starts killing everyone. Like,
For real, just the
killing, we found out it's not
yeah,
killing him, but it's
yeah.
still like horrifying.
I mean, still, I mean, it sends them to a world where they relive their worst moments in their lives, over and over and over. So that's
Yeah, like
pretty
limbo
close
or
to
whatever.
death, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
pretty bad.
I love the visual aspect of that character, the bright gold suit of Sentry, his proper demeanor that they give him, instant
Mhm.
contrast with the Void, where most of those shots with the Void just looked like they just have like he looks like a silhouette of a human being, with just tiny little white eyes. And it
That's what he
was
was in the comics.
that's
They
what
did it
he
great.
it was
He just
great.
a black menacing figure.
Yeah. Freaky though. Like it was kind of like anytime Void was on the screen, it was a little bit freaky, and I was like, all right, I like this.
Yeah, yeah, he was pretty ruthless, so it was intense.
Very good. It was very good. Um, I don't know. I know there's some end credits spoilery things that I want to talk about in a second, but I wanted to ask you: was there anything that stood out to you as like something that you really loved about this movie?
I think just the message was really well put together. Disney has had not the best track record when it came to well put together plots with a
Yeah.
message that meant something for Marvel in recent movies. Um, you know, dare I even say Spider-Man didn't have like an underlying message. It was just like a movie to experience, and that's what they were best at, and that's why people think that Endgame was the last good Marvel movie. They had a great underlying message of hope
Yeah.
and heroism. And ever since then, it's just been either fan servicing or fumbling. So this
Yeah.
movie was a risk for them to make something that was meaningful. Mental health is
Yeah.
very important, especially to our generation. I think that's something that we use to connect with each other, is talking about struggle and connecting, and that essence is starting to be lost within this day and age with how social media works, just isolation. And this movie is really good at showing what happens when you isolate,
Yeah.
and that it really starts pushing you to the edge. No matter how strong you can be, it will push you to the your breaking point, and you'll lose. And the only way to survive is to trust to bring in the people you love, the people you trust into your life, and allow them to hold you and protect you as well. If you can understand that you're never strong enough, even if you're the freaking Sentry,
Yeah.
the strongest, like he's like the Superman, right?
Yeah.
You bring in the Superman figure, and even he's not strong enough to deal with it, his mental stuff. And he needs these other people that have gone through really bad things to also help him, and it's allowing that to unlock, um, this part in everyone's soul to then release what they call the void. They kept calling it the void. Is
Yeah.
that like depression is what they call depression? Is the void.
Yeah.
Which is funny because that is what the void is. Like the void is like that essence, right? It's like depression,
Yeah.
the negative mental health stuff. And they did a great job at showing what it means to be vulnerable and how to open up and what it looks like when people help you and how to recognize it. And they did a great
Yeah.
job. Everything Everywhere All at Once guy, I think, did this
Yeah, he
movie.
was he was a
One of the
big part
main
of this
guys.
movie, yeah.
So yeah, and you could really see that. I think it wouldn't have worked without him, that director.
Yeah.
And yeah, did a great freaking job. Great job. If you're mildly depressed, I don't think this would push you over the edge. I think you would relate a lot to what's happening, and it would be kind of a downer, but no, it's great. It's a great time to understand that you shouldn't need to know what you're going through, and that just beating on your void constantly, just like pushing him down, trying to stop him, will do nothing. Like genuinely, no matter how strong you are, it's not
Yeah.
going to do anything.
It's a really like it's a very poignant thing that Yelena, she makes a statement near the beginning of the movie because Bob asks her like, "Hey, like what do I do with this feeling?" And she says, "I don't know. You just shove it down. You just push it away. You just keep it like inside and you push it down and you just try to forget that those feelings exist."
Yeah,
And she makes that like very clear point that she's not really sure, but like that's what she does and that's what works for her. Works for her.
works.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um but that comes back up when Bob is dealing with that same kind of a trauma, right? As he's beating the void they're in his headspace or what, I guess they're in the void, I guess
Yeah,
is where they would be. And
I guess that's what they're. Yeah.
he's beating on the character, the void, as Bob, because it's symbolizing just him just beating this feeling down and keeping it inside himself, but yet being extremely angry and extremely distraught about this. And
Yeah.
Elena, in that moment, realizes because of some of the conversations that she had prior to going into the void, but she has that realization that, like, I was wrong. We need to talk about this. We need to confront this. And more than anything, if somebody that you know is struggling about this, you gotta, if you can, I need to help them. And that was the thing that I thought was really, really cool and really poignant about this
Yeah.
movie and that message that you're talking about, is that Yelena makes this really, really profound discovery about herself that she can't keep bottling up her feelings, but while she can't do it, she can't let other people do that. And that's what kind of brings her to be able to make her way to Bob and help him deal with his struggles. And eventually, that correlates to them being able to get out of the void and kind of
Yeah.
finish what
Yeah.
they're
And
doing.
we saw a lot of that symbolism with how the void was holding back everyone. Um, that's like the chains that what mental health can do to you is like hold you down. But in reality, like they once they realized what it was, they broke out of it like nothing and
Yeah.
were able to go and help out their friend. And I think that that was a great symbolism of you are the one that has to accept other people coming in and helping. And if you don't, you're gonna. It's like the void, just like trapping people away,
It
like pushing them away.
just consumes you.
Yeah, yeah, and especially for Yelena, we kind of saw that when she's talking to Alexei on the street, and um, that just her reflecting on how everything she's done was really bad, and he's also done bad things, and
Yeah.
that he can't allow that to control him, and that helped her a lot. I think realize that allowing the thought of, oh, I did a bad thing, so I must be bad, isn't the right way to live. And it was really cool to see that father figure say, I went through the same thing, but you were always a good person no matter what
Yeah.
were doing.
Yeah, you were
It
always
was
kind of
great.
like the light in his life. That kind of
Yeah.
was his little guiding star for a long time, which is
Yeah.
just
And
it was such a good moment right
right. And
there.
she was really good at like focusing so much on the negative.
Yeah.
Um, and that kind of relates to a lot of how people live their life. Like a lot of people say, well, I messed up, so that I'm just gonna push it down and make it to the tomorrow
Yeah.
and make it to the weekend, and it eventually will come back to get you and
100%.
will take over, and it'll be bad. um and they go through that. Bucky, that's what Bucky talks about, like you can't push it down. If you push it down, it will come back to face you in a
If it,
worse way. And
yeah.
so being able to face it now is just heroic way to do it. And I thought that was really cool also. Like um I just love the way they took this. I was
It
afraid it
was
was
so
just gonna
good.
be a Suicide Squad, but instead it's like, no, life sucks, bro.
Yeah,
Like life
it
really sucks.
was such a
But
good way to deal with all of their individual struggles. Like we had snippets of mostly Yelena and mostly of Bob, and then we had some good snippets of Red Guardian and John Walker and of Ghost. And they all just tied together. They all are just dealing with trauma and struggle. And they end up by the end of that movie, they're able to just kind of they kind of, I don't know that they necessarily share it all with each other, but by the end of the movie, it makes me feel like they all trust each other because they know that
yeah,
everybody's been through a bunch of crap.
yeah, they
and
definitely trust each other for sure at the
and
end.
that's really good. But and that I think is probably the best part of this movie in my opinion. Is just minus the fact that Taskmaster dies, is just the message that it tells and the way that it tells it was extremely heartfelt. And I walked away loving this movie because of it. I know you walked away like kind of loving this movie for the same reason. And that was just really good, really comforting. So, and I liked watching a movie that I related to and that made me feel good and
Oh yeah,
all that sort of stuff.
yeah.
Um,
I think it's a great movie. Honestly, one of the better Marvel movies, and I think it does justice to what Marvel stands for.
yes, yes,
And fighting for others and yourself in the right way.
yep.
And it was great. It was great. Highly recommend it. I think I want to watch it like 10 more times. So
I'm gonna watch it at least 2 more times, probably in theaters, if not more, and just because it's that good. But
yeah.
I I do want to talk briefly, just while I have you here, Swingley, before you go to bed. Um, we got to talk about the end credit scenes. Mostly the end credit scene. The first end credit scene right after like
Funny.
the is just funny. It's Red Guardian being Red Guardian, and it's hilarious. But the second scene is actually the one that holds like some merit and some future teasing for the MCU. It just kind of opens up to I assume Avengers Tower is I assume where they are slash the Sentry Tower.
Yeah, they're at the Sentry Watchtower at the moment.
Yeah. And
Um,
it's, I guess it's the five of them. It's five of them? Yeah. The five of them are there, um, being, they're doing Thunderbolt things, being Thunderbolt characters, or I guess new Avengers characters, as you learn at the end of the movie.
yeah.
And they mention a space anomaly, or I forget exactly
Okay,
what they
wait, before we
called
get
it,
to that,
but
they mention political issue with
Oh
being called the
yes,
New Avengers, and that Sam despises them
I forgot about
because
that.
he's Sam and is Captain America. Thus, he's um. I don't know. I think he just doesn't like the fact they're a bunch like that group is who what they are, and to me, it feels like Sam is a lot more close-minded to heroes being heroes, like what like Bucky. Bad background. Can
Yep,
they be good?
yep.
Sam is like, no, you can't call yourself Avengers either. That's not allowed. And now there's that whole conflict. Sam's making his own Avengers, and
Yeah.
now there's a group called the New Avengers. Well, it's the Ox group that made this, so they'll probably be called something else. They'll probably call themselves something else at some point, but
They might just stick with the name New Avengers, honestly, because
just
they do
constantly
bring up
fight
like the
against
one of the
them,
big things is that Sam filed for copyright claim of the Avengers name, which I just thought was super funny.
which I wonder if they'll be like, no, there could be multiple group because then that would
Yeah,
open up to the West Coast Avengers.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah,
New Avengers are a thing now. Young Avengers,
yeah.
the Avengers. So
So we'll see
I think
exactly what that
I
entails.
hope it gets canceled. Like it shows him being sad that
They just
there's gonna be a
the
negative
government was like, no,
messages.
you can't copyright that. That's not something you can do. That would actually be
I want
hilarious.
them to do that. That
That
would
would be
be
funny.
really funny. And then Bucky being like, "Ha, take that, Sam," and it's their constant like weird love hate relationship.
I was gonna mention that. I think it's so interesting that Sam is creating his own group of Avengers, and then we have this group of Avengers. Because Bucky is
Yeah,
on this group of Avengers, and Sam and Bucky they're close, but they kind of don't like each other. Like that's kind of the best way I can describe their relationship. Um, and then also on that team is John Walker, who I'm pretty sure Sam just absolutely despises. Um, Based off of the
yeah, he
Falcon and the
hates
Winter
him.
Soldier
Probably.
show.
He
But
definitely hates the guy. Yeah.
I don't know that Sam necessarily has much interaction with any of the other characters in any of the other movies. Not a ton. So it's just kind of interesting his dynamic of
I don't
I don't want to be
Yeah, I
with
don't know if he
you.
ever knew that Yelena. Well, he probably knows about Yelena, but he probably didn't know who Ghost is.
Yeah.
And the Red Guardian, he probably knew about from stories, but he's probably like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah. But
So I don't know. But then they talk about a space threat, and in my mind, I'm like, well, the scrolls, but they kind of are good, so that's not like what threats are they really meaning? I actually don't know. I wonder if they are still like worried about the scrolls.
there's
Um,
probably something going on there, but
yeah, they maybe I don't know what they're worried about. But I turn to Hot Schmoes and I say, "The Fantastic Four are here, bro."
like
And then it
literally they're
cuts.
like space event and he just turns to me and he's like it's the Fantastic Four.
Yep, I didn't see any spoilers, so it was jaw dropped. By the way,
Yeah.
it is one of the coolest things ever. And then you just see their ship flying in, turning, and you see the four on the side. I see a lot of mixed reactions online already about it. A lot of people think it was
Interesting.
overhyped. I don't think it was overhyped. I don't think it was hyped. Other than
Like
just don't spoil it for yourself.
yeah, I think people were like,
I thought
"Hey,
that
this
was
was a good end credit scene."
yeah.
Was it the best end credit scene of all time? Probably not.
No, but it was great at setting up a movie and not just fumbling a bunch of new characters they'll never
Exactly.
ever again. So,
And
but
go for it.
realistically, I think it I agree a little bit with the pushback that oh man, you spoil Fantastic Four, but let's be real. I have a feeling we talked about this. I have a feeling that and I agree with you that Fantastic Four most of the movie will take place in the MCU and not the Fantastic Four universe. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be very early on um, that Silver Surfer shows up, Galactus shows up the next day. Um,
Yep.
they
And
realize
they
they can't
leave 2
do
days later.
anything. Yep. 2 days later, they're like, well, well, actually, I don't think. I think Galactus shows up after they leave. Like, I kind of want to think they're leaving
Maybe.
the planet as Galactus shows up because the Silver Surfer is like, yeah, your planet's gone.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted. I have I like want them to just leave before he shows up, and they're just kind of selfish. Because Reed Richards does the math, and he's like, yeah, we're screwed, bro, and there's something wrong with our universe. Like, it's breaking. I don't know, understand it. Let's leave through this weird portal thing I made. Or they Galactus shows up, is like, and he's like, I'm eating your planet. You can't stop me.
Yep.
There's an incursion happening. So, what are you gonna do about it, buddy?
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat all these planets. And then they're like, we're out. See ya.
Yeah, it's really interesting because this end credit scene shows obviously Fantastic Four showing up in MCU, right? Earth
Yeah.
616. And specifically. And that just kind of makes the point. They obviously leave their universe for one reason or another. There's really only like 3 reasons they leave their universe. Number 1 is an incursion happens and they don't know, and Reed Richards is basically like, I can't fix this, but I'm going to save my family, so I'm going to leave. Number 2 is something along the lines of Galactus is there, I can't fix this, I can't get Galactus to go away, I'm going to save my family and leave. And the third reason, which probably wouldn't happen, is Doom shows up, starts destroying the world, and Reed is trying to escape to save his family. So in reality, I think there's only one reason that they leave, and that's really he's trying to save his family more than anything. Because the Fantastic Four is a very family-oriented like team.
Yeah, and I think I think that will happen. And I think it'll be pretty early on in the movie when they actually leave. And most of the movie is about them dealing with maybe Galactus follows them or something.
Yeah,
And that's what the space threats are actually. And they're
it's
like,
gonna
what
be
is this behind them?
yeah.
And it's just Galactus.
Or they show up to Earth 616, incursion happens in 616, and Reed is finally like, I understand these now. I can help you fix it. And then they try to fix an incursion that happens on Earth 616.
Yeah. I kind of want it to be where Victor's mad they left and selfishness, the fact that they want to go down to ship and follows them, and that was RDJ, and that's the only time we ever see Doom as RDJ, and after that it's him masked up because of maybe Galactus like gets him.
I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident RDJ is going to be in every single one of these films going on forward. But I do believe, and I genuinely hope that he is masked 99.99% of the time. There are only 2 reasons why I would ever want him unmasked. One is if he ever comes face to face with Spider-Man, because I think that would be a really interesting quandary for Tom Holland Spider-Man, for the villain to look like his mentor. Hopefully scarred up, because Dr. Doom is incredibly scarred up. But if he looks at him, he's like, that's Tony, but it's not. That could be really cool. And the other reason would just be like maybe like a small prequel before he becomes Dr. Doom. Just as Victor. We see Victor, and then he becomes Doom. But I want him to be masked 99.99% of the time.
Yeah, because normally Victor's like a buddy of them.
Yeah.
With them, so yeah, we'll see how they do it, but part of me really does think that this is a hint that the Fantastic Four movie will not be the kind of movie we're thinking. What we've seen in the trailer is very meticulous at not showing a lot of the futuristic city in a lot of the fights.
Very much so.
So it's really good at doing that, and and the city's all futuristic. So then when 90% of the trailer you just see normal New York, you might think, well, it's just like the lower end, or it's in the they're in the MCU.
They
Maybe that
might
they're
just be
just
in the MCU. Like
they show up and just start helping out and doing
I
things.
I have to watch the trailer again. I've only seen it like 4 or 5 times, but that one quick scene of Galactus's feet stepping through the city, that does not look like a futuristic New York City. That looks like a default New York City that we see in a Spider-Man movie. So
So yeah,
so
unless
I
Reed realizes there's an incursion, Galactus shows up to figure out what's going on. He wants the energy, and then they leave, and he follows him.
I
That would be
just
crazy.
super random thought. I just have to get this out there. What if random thought incursion is happening, but it's between 616 and the Fantastic Four universe, and Fantastic Four leaves because Galactus is going to eat their planet and stop the incursion, and or something like I don't know. Random thought. Probably won't
I
even
would
be
think
a thing,
I
but
don't think Galactus could stop incursions, but I think that's on a good track where they see 616, the potential, and then the issue with their world. And then they're like, well, our world was chosen by Galactus to be destroyed, so it doesn't
true.
matter. Let's leave.
Let's leave. Let's get out of here. Let's skedaddle. We don't need to deal with this anymore. Yeah. Great movie though. Amazing.
Love it.
You should go watch it because
Yes.
it is one of the best movies that that Marvel has put out, especially recently. Probably the best one since Endgame. I would agree with you on that. My only runner-up to that right now is Guardians 3. I absolutely love Guardians 3.
Great movie.
But this movie is fantastic, and I think everybody should go watch this movie. And I think so many people, especially our generation of people, because we just deal with it so much, I think people who watch this movie will genuinely connect with the characters and connect with the message that we obviously love about the mental health struggles, and making sure that you yourself are aware of them. You talk
Yeah.
about them, you keep them, so you're not bottling them up. It's just a great message. You should go watch the movie. We love it, and I want you to love it too. So, yeah. Go watch Thunderbolts in theaters now. So,
It's pretty good.
it is pretty good.
It's pretty good. Sponsored by Red Guardian Limo Service.
Red Guardian Limo Service, the greatest limo service of all time. So, I was trying to think of a silly way to end the video, because I'm not editing
Taskmaster
this.
deserved it. That's a good way to end it. Yeah, Taskmaster deserved it. And this is the best movie since Endgame.
Yeah, pretty much. So, anyway, I'm not editing this video. It's just going up to YouTube. We'll clip it for TikTok. Anyway, Tombstone's the worst movie in the world. Never seen it, never will. Love you guys. Peace.